have some breaking news. There is a tsunami warning for parts of California and Oregon after a 7.0 magnitude earthquake struck offshore. CNN's Chad Myers is live in the CNN Weather Center. So, Chad, this is the northern part of California. What more do we know?
This was a 7.0 earthquake just off the coast of Northern California. So there could have been a tsunami generated, a significant tsunami with inundation onto the land, Alex. This could be something here. We don't know numbers yet. Obviously, we don't know what the wave would have been. We don't know where it is right now, but we do know that Northern California, very close to the coast, would have already experienced it. So that's going to be our ground truth. But San Francisco, you could get some type of a wave here about 50 minutes from now. So don't count 50, count at 45 and be to the good here. But this was a very strong quake, very shallow as well that we think. The depths have been changing up and down as they're kind of evaluating what this earthquake truly did. Now, there was most of the shaking on land here, of course, not that far from Fort Bragg. But this is the area that could also see the waves from this. So I can't tell you what that is. That just to me looks like the Pacific Ocean. I don't see a tsunami there, but it would be impossible to tell you what that looks like from this far up in the sky. I don't see inundation. It looks like just normal waves here. This is still Northern California here, coast. So you're going to need to be away from the water. At this point in time, this is the time you need to get away. Fort Bragg, you probably already saw your waves, and so now as you get down along the coast, a little bit of a longer lead time for you to get away from the coast there in Northern California. This would be considered a strong to a very strong quake. So this was a significant event here for the bottom of the ocean. The ocean moved in a subduction zone, likely the Cascadia Fault area there, and now the waves are coming through. It's hard to tell where high tide or low tide would have been here on these pictures. I mean, they do look like significant waves coming in, but almost every wave in the Pacific Ocean looks like a significant wave, especially in the wintertime when the big storms off the coast generate significant waves all by themselves. Get away from the water, get away from the land, get away from that coastal areas. If you're in Northern California, certainly the police there on the scene. Alex.
Important advice, that quake at 10:44, so just about 40 minutes ago. Chad, we know that you'll be keeping a close eye on that coastline. We'll come back to you when we know more. Thanks very much. With us now is seismologist Maureen Long. Maureen, this 7.0 earthquake, not too long ago, just off the coast of Eureka, California. How unusual is an earthquake like this?
That's right. So, California, as we all know, is earthquake country, right? So this earthquake occurred in a part of the tectonic plate boundary system near California, where we know that we have earthquakes fairly frequently, excuse me. So I would say that this earthquake is, not unusual from a geologic standpoint, but certainly unsettling for those who feel strong shaking.
So how worried, Maureen, should people be? I'm looking at the tsunami warning that has just been put out. Some 5 million people under this tsunami warning from Davenport, California, so that's south of San Francisco, all the way up to Lane Line, Oregon. So that's quite a bit of that coastline. And it looks like the expected time for this tsunami activity, it ranges, but started about 15 minutes ago, if you will. But 5 million people under this warning. How worried should they be?
Well, certainly they should be aware. Anytime that we have a tsunami warning, that is something to take very seriously. So I would give anyone the advice to, heed the advice from NOAA, from the tsunami warning, to stay away from the shoreline, be aware that you may need to evacuate. And the reason that these warnings get issued is because there is a chance from an earthquake like this one that happened beneath the ocean that we may have a tsunami. So certainly being aware and knowing that a tsunami warning is in effect for that stretch of coastline, very important for everyone right now.
We just heard our Chad Myers telling people to stay away from the coastline. Is that the best piece of advice? How far back should people be, and is there anything else that they should be doing?
Whenever there is a tsunami warning, in any situation in which there's a tsunami warning, the advice is always to stay back from the coastline and seek higher ground. So certainly for people who are near the coastline right now in the affected area, seek higher ground and go in from the coastline. As far as it's practical to do so right now. We don't yet know what the actual impact of any tsunami that has been triggered is going to be. We'll learn that, I think, in the next minutes to hours. But for now, always important to heed that warning, stay away from the coastline, and move to higher ground if you're in that affected area.
So I'm looking at the warning for San Francisco. It's 12:10 p.m. Pacific time that there's expected to be tsunami activity. That's about 40 minutes from now. Why does it take so long for that impact to be felt?
Yep. So earthquake waves, the shaking, the waves that give us shaking from earthquakes, those travel much faster than tsunami waves. So tsunami waves in the ocean, in the open ocean, tends to travel about as fast as a jet plane flies, whereas earthquake waves travel much faster, and that means that it's easier for us to give tsunami warnings because there's a little bit of a time delay there. So that's the reason for the kind of the difference in arrival time between the shaking from the earthquake and any potential tsunami wave that gets triggered.
And Maureen, how concerned are you right now about aftershocks?
Well, aftershocks are part of the phenomenon of having earthquakes. So the USGS has issued already an aftershock forecast for this event. So folks can go and look that up on the details of that up on the USGS website. They are forecasting that there's maybe about a 40% chance of an aftershock larger than about a magnitude 5 or 5.5. So certainly it's something that we need to be aware of. Because this earthquake happened beneath the ocean and not directly under any population centers, it's certainly the most likely scenario is that any aftershocks will be smaller than the initial shock. We can't rule out the possibility of a larger earthquake, but the most likely scenario is that any aftershocks will be smaller. So certainly, again, for folks who are in that affected area, it's good to be aware of the possibility of aftershocks because that is something that we do expect for an earthquake of this size.